Hey there, and welcome. If you're part of the CPA world, you know that feeling, right? That constant state of bracing for impact, especially with tax season just around the corner. Today, we're going to dive into how some of the most forward-thinking firms are completely redesigning their operations to move past just surviving the busy season and actually start thriving all year long.
Busy season, survival mode. That phrase probably hits a little too close to home, doesn't it? It's that same old hamster wheel. You're hiring fast, working insane hours, just barely scraping by to hit deadlines, and then you get a few months break before you have to do it all over again. It's just exhausting. And let's be honest, it is no way to run a sustainable business.
So, the reality is a lot of firms are just stuck in this reactive cycle. But here's the good news. It really doesn't have to be this way. In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how you can escape that loop. It's all about redesigning your firm's operating model to create workflows that are predictable, scalable, and actually work for you, not against you. All right, so to fix a problem, you've got to understand what's causing it in the first place. For decades, the answer to growing your firm was pretty simple. Just hire more accountants. But that solution, well, it's hitting a wall. The old model is starting to seriously crack under the pressure of today's world.
Just think about how all these pressures pile on top of each other. It's getting way harder and a lot more expensive to find experienced accountants right here in the US. Then you've got these massive seasonal spikes in workload, and oh yeah, compliance is only getting more and more complex. It's the perfect recipe for staff burnout and a drop in quality, which leaves the firm's leadership just managing stress instead of actually, growing the business. So the firms that are really breaking free from the cycle, they're asking a totally different question. It's not just about who you can hire anymore. It's about fundamentally redesigning how and where the work itself gets done. And that shift in thinking, that is the crucial turning point.
Now let's be really clear about something. When we say outsourcing, we are not talking about the old throw it over the wall and hope for the best method. No way. Modern outsourcing is a sophisticated, strategic move. It's about building a structured delivery model that becomes a completely seamless part of your firm's DNA. Okay, so what does this actually look like in the real world? How do you put it into practice? Well, it really boils down to making a few key strategic choices that are tailored to your firm's unique workflow and your specific goals for growth.
So you've got two main paths, nearshore and offshore, and they each serve different purposes. Nearshore teams are fantastic for that really complex work that needs a ton of back and forth, real-time collaboration. But for the more repeatable, process-driven tasks, offshore teams often give you way more scale and consistency. And honestly, the most successful firms don't just pick one. They build a smart, hybrid model that gets the best of both worlds.
And when we talk about offshore, India is still a major cornerstone for US CPA firms. And look, this isn't just some passing trend. It's built on decades of proven results. You get access to this massive pool of talent that's already trained in US GAAP and IRS rules. These are teams that get CPA firm workflows, and they give you that flexible capacity to handle those crazy seasonal peaks without breaking a sweat.
All right, let's just bust one of the biggest myths out there right now. Outsourcing is not a last-minute emergency fix for a chaotic tax season. In fact, thinking that way is basically a recipe for disaster. Real, meaningful success comes from planning, deliberate planning, long before the chaos even starts.
The key to everything is preparation. Successful firms decide way ahead of time what kind of work is a good fit for offshore prep. They create standardized templates, they define crystal clear review processes and turnaround times, and, this is the most important part, they train their offshore teams on their specific firm preferences before the work starts piling up. When you do that, the team becomes a truly dependable extension of your firm, not just some last-minute help.
So, what is it that separates the firms that get this right from the ones that stumble? It really comes down to a few proven principles, basically a clear set of rules for the road.
Here it is, the formula for success. First, design everything before you execute. That means defining your workflows, your documentation, and all your expectations right up front. Second, oversight is absolutely non-negotiable. You have to have CPA-led review and accountability no matter where in the world the work is getting done. And third, you have to treat this as a long-term strategy that's core to your business, not just some temporary fix. Now look, it is totally natural to have some hesitation around all of this. I get it. So let's just tackle the most common concerns head on, because they're important questions that really deserve some clear answers.
This is probably the #1 fear I hear.
losing control. That nagging feeling that you won't really know what's going on with your client work once it leaves your direct line of sight.
But here's the reality, and it might seem a little counterintuitive. The very act of creating standardized processes and clear documentation, which you have to do to make this work, actually increases your transparency. You end up with more predictability, not less, because you've designed the system for it from the very beginning.
Okay, the next big concern is always about quality and alignment. Will an external team really get the nuances of how our firm does things? Can they actually meet our high standards?
And this is exactly why all that upfront design work is so critical. With the right onboarding, clear documentation, and dedicated training, you'll find that alignment happens way faster than you might think. You're not just hoping they get it, you're teaching them your specific way from day one.
And finally, we've got the client question. How are my clients going to react to this? This is a huge valid concern for any firm that prides itself on having strong personal relationships with its clients.
Here's the key takeaway on this one. The client-facing relationship doesn't have to change one bit. Your U.S. firm is still the main point of contact, the strategic advisor, the trusted partner. All the operational work just happens more efficiently in the background, which, by the way, frees up your team to focus more on that high-value client work, not less.
So, as we start to wrap this up, it really all comes down to a choice between two different futures. You can keep surviving, just getting through one busy season at a time, stuck in that same old reactive loop. Or you can start building a resilient system that truly supports sustainable growth and protects your team all year round. And that's really the ultimate goal here, right? To stop constantly bracing for impact and to start proactively building stability. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Is your firm designed just to survive, or is it truly designed to build for the future? Thanks for watching.